madam is traveling today, so we'll allow her first to complete her so that she can
Okay.
leave. Okay.
हरिओम
Okay.
नमस्कार।
Okay.
हम
Okay.
आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं आयुष समृद्धि की 1348वीं वेबिनार में। आज टुडे वी आर सेलिब्रेटिंग फॉरेस्ट्री डे एंड डेफिनेटली forests are essential as our lungs to survive us. So the topic is safe forest for Ayush or healthcare. In these sentiments, I would like to welcome Dr. Suparna Mukherjee ji, Dr. Saket Kumar Basu ji, and would like to request Professor V.K. Agnihotri sir to invite them with regard. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Professor Pavin Shamaji. Really, it's a great day to celebrate Forestry on Forestry Day. Safe forest for Ayush. Definitely, there are so many species which are there in the forest itself. They are growing by their own. We say in the wild species, but still they have got the medicinal value. So, in reference to Uttarakhand, Jal, Jungle, or Jameen, it is always a good slogan for politicians, for administrators, for school education, and for everywhere, for the environment savers and all the environmentalists. So this is the topic which we are going to get discussed, and with the great help of our guest speakers, Dr. Suparna Sennal Basu Madam ji, and as well as the Saket Kumar Basu ji. So as per the information, since Madam Sennal is to leave earlier, so I would like to invite her first to have knowledge regarding the ways and means to protect our forest for our lungs, for our maintenance of environment, and for the availability of our so many herbal medicines, herbal plants, which are very much useful to our Ayurvedic system, Unani system, Siddha system. So I do hope that she is going to enrich our knowledge and the knowledge of IRES in this reference. So with these words, I thank our guest speakers and invite Dr. Suparna Sanyal ma'am for her presentation. Namaskar ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar. So, very good evening. And it's a very interesting subject of mine because I have done my PhD on the impact of Indian Forest Act on the tribes. This is my privilege to say something on the forest and Ayush. Basically, I myself is the first ever researcher in the country who has done this impact of Indian Forest Act on the tribes. Especially the act was implemented by the then British government in 1865. And then this act was superseded. There is a various lacunae on this act, and it was superseded in 1878. And then finally, it was finally enacted on 1927. The act was basically is a absolute supremacy over the forest. The forest is a treasure. Forest is a pleasure. Forest is an enormous potentiality for the livelihood sustenance. The then government was realized, and then the then government was factualized, and then the government was fathom it in their intricacy that the forest is a very good natural resources. Not only the natural resources, they have gaining the so many sources. There is a one university which has been made, like the Woodbridge University, with this Indian forest and forest producers. So forest is an enormous potentiality, and forest has this own every aspects which is be intact in the forest. So first life sustenance was started from the forest, because forest, if there is no forest, no plant kingdom is there. The plant was sustaining in this formation of earth, then the single cell to multicellular animals may form. So forest is a very good and very scientific and very natural phenomenon of our planet earth. So in that case, forest is, we have to protect the forest. But who can protect the forest? Basically, the aborigines, those who are aborigines, we were living in the forest, and those aborigines had the age-old right towards the forest when India was unmitigated, the Indian subcontinent. So there is a plenty of land over forest. So forest is basically the part of our factual life, and the forest produces are very good for us, for the protection of our life, for the protection of our health and benefit. There are, 40,000 species, especially the medicinal plants, which is getting abolished, which are endangered in the 21st century, because there is no protection. People don't know, because in our art system, there is the land area is marked, so we cannot enrich the land area. If we have to develop and broaden our land area, we have to destroy our seaside, we have to destroy our river. So it is not possible. At the same time, the population boom is going on, and the population boom is going on, so people are getting to the urbanized. So rural person, the forest oriented persons are are in dangerous situation, just because though we don't have the ideology for the what medicines are good for the health and what medicines are good for the food. So it was the ideology and the scientific point of view was there for the aborigines, those who are living in the forest, because they are the forest protector. They are the they do the forest restoration for their own benefit, at the same time the protection of natural resources. Those natural resources are very good for the health, for the medicinal aspect, for the benefit, socio-economic aspect, socio-cultural aspect, because every religious system and the every aspects of their life is the forest oriented. Those people who was living, the aborigines and the tribes especially, are living in the deep inside the forest and the forest ridge. For those who are living deep inside the forest, there is the system how to protect the forest, how to develop the forest production, how to develop the forest regeneration. These are their practice, and they were very known to them, because it is the a system, it is their inborn quality, it is their natural quality, though no one has learned them, but they have learned through the environment, through their generation to generation, they have learned it, and they are using it without having any knowledge, without having any scientific knowledge, but they are practicing through their indigenous process of view. So in that case, the government of the when the independence, we have seen the independence still today. It is the 1927 Act is continuing. This when this Act is continuing, that means the people are restricted ingress and egress from the forest. So what has happened? If someday if we can see that our house is not our house, so we cannot enter into our house, we cannot get into our house, we cannot live into our house, because they treated forest as their mother. This is their own mother. The way we have treated our house, we can because the forest is giving us their shelter, their protection, their security, their livelihood sustenance, their food protection, their medicinal protection, their health protection, their rituals, their rites, their customs, everything is dependent on the forest. So forest is the enormous resource of the aborigines, not only the people, those who are living in the forest, but the people, those who are living outside of the forest, their every activities was dependent upon the forest. In that case, what has happened? In that case, we have seen this, the people are their activities, their socio-economic activities was dependent on the forest. When the forest has been restricted for them, so they have been thrown it out from the forest by the then government. When they are thrown it out, so they what they will do, because the forest was the only one protection of them, because forest is their shelter, because they have treated forest as their own mother. So in that case, they are in a dwindle situation, they are in a utter dismay, they are in a very jeopardy. So in this jeopardy situation leading them, the them social menace. They are endangered. Those tribes, those belongings are the endangered. They are not getting anything. So after that, the after independence, government of India brings some policies, like the policies 1894 first forest policies were introduced by the then British government. They have given some relaxation, but those people, those who are absolutely innocent, they don't have any idea, they don't have any idea regarding the law and legislation. They don't know anything, but they used to suffer from this Forest Act and policy. But the policy, when the policy is giving them few concession, few rights, but they are not aware about it. There are the three categories of the offense. They are UDR, COR, POR. If the people can cut the non-timber minor foresters, the timber, if they taken from the forest, for which if the forest guard can cut them in a situation, they used to be given the punishment. So what was the punishment? The punishment was the 30 rupees. This 30 rupees they have to pay. Whether they have, if they cannot pay it, that means they have to take into the imprisonment. Then the prosecution has done. This 30 rupees has become the 3 lakh rupees. So the total family has absolutely is endangered. So when the person is not given 30 rupees, how they will given the fine penalty is a 3 lakh rupees. So this is a very ignorant situation of our all the sectors of our governmental sectors, of our every individual sector. They are not looking after those people, those who are really suffering from this for their livelihood sustenance, because they have lost their own home. At the same time, the act and policies are the two parallel laws. The act is telling that they cannot enter into the forest, but policy is giving some, concessions. But it is not interacting with the act, because there is no implementation. At the same time, the Forest Conservation Act, though the conservation is there, they are conserving the wild animals, not the human beings. So it is our lack of awareness, lack of knowledge, lack of we don't feel the people, those who are living in the forest and forest ranges. They are also our fellow citizens. We are enjoying democratic right. We are enjoying in a living in a democratic society. We are feeling that we have the privilege to say, but those people, though, they don't have the privilege to say, because they don't know. They don't know anything. It is not possible for them to know the law. What is the law is, why the law is protected, prohibit them enter into the forest, and why the policy is giving them concession, how much concession they can avail. So in this situation, in the dismal situation, they are really in the utter dismal. And this dismal situation leading them in the social menace, because those tribes are endangered. We are identifying them as a primitive tribe of our society, though the primitive word is not using in every sector, because there is no one is primitive, but we are identifying them as primitive. So it is becoming a we cannot say that they are indigenous. So we have to giving the chances of those people, because they are the heritage of our life. They are the heritage of the Indian subcontinent, because they have the own culture, they have the own rights, they have the own rituals. Because there was a Chipko movement. When the Chipko movement was started, the hugging of the trees and the protect the trees for the betterment of the life. The trees are our planet Earth, because tree is giving us oxygen, and those that oxygen we are breathing. So trees are our breathing facilities. So at that time, the Ayush also have the more important point of view. Like Ayush is needed the medicinal plants, and those medicinal plants is not generating in the other sources, not in the urban society, but those medicinal plants is growing up in the forest and forestry only. And that way, there the forest and forest management is there. Forest management is giving, there is the I have worked on that, the forest for management. I have given the ideological point of view and worked on that, the three-tier canopy development. Then we can develop the forest and the forest canopy and the forest for management, by which we can get the more benefit and we can restore the forest resources for our benefit, for the benefit of the people at large, which is a very important point of view. And thank you very much, Ayush, to giving me such an opportunity. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Great, madam. Great, great. Really, when you start speaking and giving the real thought-based information, it starts my some of the brain cells to think over it. And the pleasure is that you paid two things. First of all, we should realize the importance of forest and then only be in position to protect them and their contents like Vanya Sampada, Van Sampada. And one very benign thought just came in my mind. Had there not been forest, Prabhu Shri Ram, where would have he had been gone? And so was the case with the fourth charan of our life. That is the fourth one is Vanaprastha. To proceed to Ban. So had there not been Ban, where the Vanaprasthi could have gone. These are the centers or seats where our great saint Valmiki ji, Agast Muni ji, Bharadwaj ji, Yagvalki ji, all the great saints having their residence only there in the Aranya Ban forest. And the intimacy was so good that Rahi Ek Sang Gaj Panchanan, Sher, lion and elephant, they were all so familiar, they were living simultaneously, not harming to human being. Human beings were also not harming them. And there was a great understandability, and the life was going, the life which is stated in Satyuga and Treta Yuga, of course. So, importance, the basic importance of forest can be taken from that reference. अगर बनी ना होता तो भगवान राम वनवास में कहाँ जाते? मैं एकदम से मैं दिमाग में जिस चीज आई है, तो वन को इसलिए भी सुरक्षित जाना जरूरत है। वो जो थी शूर्पणखा, वो भी दंडकारण है, दंडक वन में आई थी। तो कुल मिला के ये सब बढ़िया चीजें थी। हमारा पूरा एमपी का क्षेत्र, डिस्ट्रिक्ट सगर, चित्रकूट, जहाँ इनका मिलन हुआ भरत राम जी का, है भारद्वाज जी के आश्रम, तो वन की वैल्यू वहां भी थी, त्रेता युग में थी, और आज जीवित रहने के लिए कलयुग में भी है। थैंक यू सो मच मैम, आपने अपने पीएचडी वर्क को इतने अच्छे से नरेट करके हम लोग समझाया। वी आर रियली फीलिंग इंडेटेड with your knowledge and all that. In the same connection, now I would like, thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to invite our very near and dear Dr. Sekat Dasuji, whose knowledge is beyond comment. I think he has got such a ocean of knowledge of every subject. And of course, this Forest Day means the topic related to the forest. It might be a very near topic of his science field, based upon the seed cultivation and all that, because the seed itself needs earth, soil, and then its cultivation results in a form of plant. Number of plants make a say jungle or forest. So with these small comments, I would like to invite Dr. Shekhar Kumar Basuji for his wonderful presentation. Namaskar.
Thank you. I'm glad to be present on this platform. So without taking much time, we'll go into the crux of the World Forest Day. And I do not need to repeat that, as Madam has nicely highlighted how forest and the tribal life is so intimately integrated and how we need to protect the forest. So what I'm going to talk in my presentations are my recommendations, like how to protect the forest in India. Like we all know we need to protect the forest, but what should be done? This is what I have done through my research. This is what I have been working on for a long time. And these are the recommendations that I have come up, and I've also submitted this to the government of India and to the state governments, that maybe these are some of the ways that we need to look into for protection of the forest in the current present time. So forests are not only, huge natural resources for timber and non-timber forest products. We generate a lot of revenues, and we also earn a lot of foreign exchange, not only from our timber sales and stuff, but also from a large number of medicinal plants that grow in our forest. And the Ayush Ministry has been, I have been working on this, and I have been warning them that our forest resources, particularly of medicinal plants, are getting depleted day by day unless we take very serious care in reducing the pressure on our forest. Medicinal plants and all other natural resources that we have may be lost within a very short time, and it would be extremely detrimental for the environment as well as for the ecology. So what should we do? My suggestions has been that we not only have forest inside India, like within the states, but we have also very dense forest along the very highly sensitive border regions of India. And these border regions, say for example the Indo-Bangladesh area, Indo-Nepal, Indo-Bhutan, Indo-Myanmar, or vast parts of Kashmir adjoining Pakistan, these are area, and the Indo-Tibetan border, these are very vulnerable areas because they are not only vulnerable for trafficking of wildlife products, forest products, timber, non-timber products, but they are also extremely vulnerable for human trafficking at the same time, or smuggling of contraband commodities, drugs, and whatnot, even entry points for insurgency into the country. So we have this Sundarban area, which is between adjoining India and Bangladesh, and for a long time it was considered only as a wildlife reserve, and the forest guard used to keep, used to look after the security and the protection. But recently, BSF has stepped up security, particularly in the waterway areas, in the creeks and the tidal channels of Sundarban, because they have figured out that there are insurgents, there are illegal immigrants, illegal traffickers, and human trafficking happening through the creeks and canals of the Sundarban area. So this is not only vulnerable for the destruction of the forest, which we need to protect, but this is something which is also associated with the national security of the country. So my first suggestion has been that we need to revamp our forest forces, forest protection forces. If we can have, CISF, like which is dedicated for the industrial protection, we need a forest protection force which needs to be like BSF, like a paramilitary force with modern warfare, modern gadget, high level training, because the people, we are sending our guards with a 303 ancient rifle coming from the British colonial time. Most of them do not fire against people who are using AK-47, AK-56, which could be Naxalites, Maoists, or any other insurgent groups that are present in central India, eastern India, southern India, and also in northeast India. So these people are not only associated with poaching, or trafficking of wildlife and wildlife products, or live animals, or precious forest products, but they are also responsible for introducing insurgency into the country. So it is quite unfortunate that the government of India or the state government are sending the lowest rank of the people, the forest guards, with a simple long stick and a 303 which does not fire. Is this fair? While the IFS officers are sitting in the towns and cities and Delhis with 3 or 4 armed commandos protecting them from no one. Like if you are in a city, if you are stationed in Kolkata, no one is going to shoot you with an AK-47, and that person has 4 guards. The chief wildlife warden has 4 high security guards where he needs no protection. But the forest guard who is going into the deep forest corner and the bordering regions of the Indo-Myanmar region, or Indo-Bangladesh, Indo-Nepal, Indo-Bhutan region, they are working under gross less protection or security with 303 rifles which do not fire, or with sticks. Is this a fair way to treat the forest guards who are working and providing protection? And also, this is important, if we increase the forest protection sources, forces to a paramilitary force, it adds to another level of security for the purpose of national security of the country. It is not only protecting our forests, they become another security layer for protecting the country against insurgents. There are various wildlife corridors, as I have mentioned. One of them is the Indo-Myanmar border. The second one is the Indo-Bangladesh border. The third one is the Siliguri corridor that connects the North Bengal into Northeast India on one side and to Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibet on the other. This is highly vulnerable area. There needs to be very strong military activity, and people who are working there with sticks is unjustified on this particular point of century, where most of our politicians are moving along with high-tech commandos with AK-47 and 56 when none of them are challenged, while our people who are working at the borders, particularly our vulnerable forest guards, have nothing to protect them. They are working against people who has highly sophisticated gears like GPS, satellite phones, monitoring equipments, telephoto lens, telescopic guns, high-powered rifles, as well as machine guns like AK-47, AK-56. Against that, our guards have a old stick, a piece of old ebony stick that all they have, they carry into the forest to protect them. So I think there needs to be a quite a change in the forest protection system. Number one, needs to be changes in the legislation of various forest acts across the country. The government has relaxed a lot of laws, particularly for making industry and moving of forest resources a bit easier. I can understand the economic implications of those, but unless the forests are protected, they are extremely vulnerable. The huge bamboo forest of northeast India and in eastern Himalayas are almost gone. This is contiguous with not only with northeast India but also with Southeast Asia. So all these riverine forest, all these huge, massive, extensive bamboo forest on which a number of wildlife species were dependent, a vast number of them has been destroyed. They have been encroached by people. There have been illegal movements. There have been insurgents which are building up fortresses within the forest. And when we are acting against them, it has the very last stage when the government has no other option but to use firearms to go into the forest. This is destroying the forest. The broader cause is the social causes, the socio-economic reasons. People living inside or around the forest are the poorest of the poor, suffering from abject poverty. Unless the quality and economic life of these people are improved, the insurgency and other political and economic instabilities around the forest will continue. So forest is not just like a abode of trees and wildlife. They are also an abode of humans that we need to take care of. In most of the time, stakeholders that we talk about the forest department, we talk about non-government organizations, we talk about military operations, paramilitary forces, researchers and everyone, but we are not taking into account the villagers who are living around the forest. They have intricate knowledge of the forest. They are very well associated with the mental map of the forest, the natural resources. If we could use them as our uh, guides as well as our forest level employees or help in the ecotourism as we have done in Kaziranga Sanctuary, the forest conservation picture in India would definitely change. I have been looking into an international report which suggests that 12% of the global forest is contributed by Russia, 8% of the global forest is contributed by Canada, 5% by China, and India is around 2% only. So our forest cover for our sustenance and for the security of our next generation needs to increase. But it is difficult to increase the forested areas in India is because our population has been expanding. The human infiltration at the forest is increasing. So we have no other choice but to expand social forestry. We need to create forest. We need to create artificial forested areas, help in revegetation, help in afforestation and afforestation in areas which has been impacted. So we need to plant a lot of forest trees and plants to regenerate these forests to create and increase the forested areas. It says that every country should have around 33%. If a nation has 33% of its total area dedicated to forestry, then you have a healthy environment. It is not possible for India to reach around 33%. I think we are somewhere around 20 to 25. Various research scholars attribute to various percentage of Indian forest, but at least we need to reach and extend another 5%. At least we need to have 30% of India dedicated only to extensive forest areas, and we need to continue creating forest in unused areas, both in the cities and the urban and rural areas, in the municipalities, in the corporation areas, always also in the panchayat areas. Large number of trees have been built along the highways, that provides a very nice shade. If you are crossing through the highways, this has been a part of the social forestry. I think this not only looks picturesque, but it also provides protection to the soil. The more trees, the more forest we have that binds the soil, perfectly to the earth, and then we do not have topsoil loss. If the topsoil, the top few inches of the soil is lost, then our agricultural productivity is gone. If it is washed away or blown away by the wind, or if it is damaged or trampled by the hooves of herbivore animals, particularly our cattle and livestock, then our forest is degraded. The other very dangerous part that we have with respect to Indian forest is the wildfires. Wildfires do happen as a result of forest drying up and lightning causing and accidentally spreading the fire. This is a natural process. Natural burning of forest is essential for the regrowth and regeneration of the forest, because those ashes actually serve as fertilizer for the old stand growth and helps in the regeneration of the forest. Many seeds of many species of plants burn work. But the challenge is that unless there are very responsible persons who are going into the forest and throwing smoking butts and other parts, and which is causing widespread wildfires not only in India but in other countries. But it's very dangerous because it can damage thousands of hectares of forest within a very small area. So our forest legislation needs to change. Our monitoring and surveillance of the forest also needs to change, and we need to involve people living in and around the forest and forest fringes, tribal communities, marginal people living in the forest, as a part of the forest protection forces. With this, I conclude that these are my humble suggestions for protecting forest, in upgrading the forest protection force, and involving local people as a part of the forest stakeholders in the protection of the forest. Thank you very much once again for giving me this opportunity. It has been a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saket. Really, you opened the eyes of government also and gave such a good suggestions regarding the maintenance and protection of our forest. Naturally, if we are supposed to protect our forest, we are we should be in position to save our forest and not let that be used as a corridor for the insurgency. And for that, we need a good forest protectors force, like as you told, like BSF, which should be equipped with such firearms which are capable to protect such type of incidents, and that weapons must be in action. They should be ready to use, not just for showing. Then only it will be possible. And especially those areas where the international boundaries are means international, we are connected internationally, like Indo-Pakistan, China, Indo. Bangladesh, etc. And especially our Sundarban area is known. The one itself is the one which is Sundar. So in that way, that is very good area where the say infiltrators, they used to come, or they can damage the local tribals and other persons. मतलब जन धन हानि दोनों ही होती है. So for that, forest is not a theme to be celebrated only one day. It's a daily routine. And as you told that in India, in our country Bharat, it should be 33% area covered by the forest. But fortunately or unfortunately, we have got our such a geographical say distribution of our country. We have got at top the hill areas and snow-covered areas where vegetation is not there at top above 30,000 feet height or so, or almost 16 or 17 feet, 1,000 feet height. There is no econitem like that. And so is the area. The rest of our area is there according to three sides covered with our ocean. So the plant area on Earth is almost because we are having 1.4 Arab nowadays. So it's very difficult to be made that land available, especially for the vegetation and the maintenance of forest. Well, though it's the greatest source of our business and our oxygen, everything, but makeshift forest like social forestry is now getting a good shape along with the development of the flyovers and other this areas. So that can be to some extent be helpful for the life or living being. Though air pollution is so much that that index is always alarming us. That today itself we are knowing that the Begusara is the worst area as far as the air pollution is concerned by the latest this reports. Anyway, your suggestion is wonderful. So I really thank for your best presentation and sparing minutes for us for IRES. So thank you so much. And in this way, I conclude our this third webinar based on the Forestry Day with the aim that we should save our forest with the help of the AYUSH, or AYUSH will only be benefited when the forest will be protected. This is the vice versa. So with these words, we thank you all for your great support and presentation.
Sir,
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, sir. Good night.
sir, Parson, Sakatji,
Yes.
we will be celebrating Water Day on 23rd. On
Okay.
that day, Meteorological Day is also there.
Okay.
Please bless us on that
Okay.
day, 23rd March.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Good night to all, sir. मेरी सर 1 मिनट रुकिएगा.